Hello and welcome to the next Thematic List Build. On the previous installment I covered the Crimson Fists. This time around I will be shifting focus to the other exemplary Imperial Fist successors. So let's dive into a Thematic List Build for the Black Templars. For those new, the goal of the Thematic List Build series is to create a 2K Strike Force sized list, based around a theme central to the focused faction. And with that stated, let's take a look at the sub-faction rules. The Black Templars chapter tactic, Righteous Zeal, has had a subtle change. The areas of benefit remain the same. The Black Templars can reroll charges, and can ignore mortal wounds on a 5-up. The change is in that they now cannot reroll any or all of the dice, but the reroll extends to advance rolls made as well. Which may feel like a downgrade, but as a silver lining, 9th edition is much more of a meet-in-the-middle game, so charges are typically easier compared to the conditions of 8th edition. And while the Black Templars are successors of the Imperial Fists, their manner of warfare greatly deviates from that of their parent chapter. To represent this, the Black Templars have a unique doctrine bonus. Knights of Sigismund, activating in the Assault Doctrine enables natural hit rolls of 6 to auto-wound, which isn't too shabby. Skipping a step in the fight activation sequence will provide a boost to efficiency, but take note that it only comes into effect when your units charge or heroically intervene. At the moment of writing the script, the Black Templars Index Astartes was just released, so the timing couldn't be better. And overall, their toolkit remains largely intact. The big change is that, finally, Crusader squads were brought to the 2-wound standard, which only took, 2 weeks? That being said, most of the other changes were keyword related, such as adding restrictions for abilities to now only work on core and character units. So with the index keeping things largely unchanged, I can pretty much say what I was planning to in my early drafts. I had always placed the Black Templars in the bottom of the tier list of the melee specialist chapters, but after having given their toolkit a proper review, that fact remains the same. However, their unique toolset is much better than the preconceived notions I had prior to the analysis. And to be clear, it's not a terrible place to be. The Black Templars are still Space Marines, and are therefore sitting on a pretty great foundation. And their supplemental tools are definitely adequate enough to allow them to function as melee specialists. They got Fight First in the fight phase with the Oath of Glory Litany and the Master of Arms trait, and enhanced Pile In and Consolidate with the Devout Push stratagem, a way to deny falling back with the Tenacious Assault stratagem, a +1 to advance and charge rolls with the Frontline Commander trait, a method to advance and charge with the Emperor's Will stratagem, a 6-inch Heroic Intervention with the Oathkeeper Warlord trait, and a set of exclusive characters with good combat performance. It definitely hits the mark by my estimation, and it seems to me their area of lack, when compared to their contemporaries, is in their army-wide rules. Simply, when comparing their chapter tactics and doctrine bonuses, it's quite clear that the Black Templars' benefits are the least potent. Which feels a bit weird when you consider they are also the only ones who can't leverage the benefit of psychic powers, and also have no additional support for shooting, where the others do. Hopefully the Black Templars will be graced by the GW rules writers at some point in the future. Alright, rant over. When it comes to the thematic objectives of the list, they are creating a list epitomizing the Zealous Crusader ethos, flexing the righteous weapon of the Crusader, the Power Sword, and featuring a good amount of firstborn units so they too can earn some well-deserved glory. Now, let's go over to the list breakdown. The list is organized into a battalion. Let's start off with the troop choices. First up are 2 Crusader squads. One squad is the standard 5 men strong, and the second is a group of 6. Both squads are comprised wholly of initiates. Both squads' initiates all have Astartes chainswords, and both squads' sword brothers have power swords. While I would have loved to pack a Land Raider Crusader with a 16-strong Crusader squad, even with the performance bump up to 2 wounds, it left much to be desired. But in spite of that, I did want to feature the unique Crusader squad unit choice available to the Black Templars. And even though this format does not flex their larger size, the Crusader squad remains one of the few melee-dedicated firstborn troop options available to any of the Marine chapters. Delivering these 2 squads into the heart of glorious melee combat are 2 Razorbacks. Both have been fitted with twin last cannons and a single hunter-killer missile, with the goal of providing some anti-armor firepower during the Crusaders' commute. The last troop choice is a squad of intercessors, whose job it is to sit back and hold the back line. It feels right to me that the newbies get stuck with this task. Side note here, Upon thinking about it, it would probably be wise to fold in the Intercessor and Assault Intercessors into the Crusader platform. I mean, the Death Watch have them and so much more integrated into their mixed squads, so why not the Black Templars? Next up is the first veteran node of the list, a squad of Blade Guard veterans. I would be remiss not to include the Blade Guard vets in a Black Templars list build. Excellent combat potential, great defense, and they really just ooze the Space Crusader aesthetic. Providing some wisdom to the squad will be a Blade Guard Ancient. In addition to the standard Ancient's aura, he has an aura that allows the Blade Guard to get a +1 to their hit rolls, which is pretty nifty. And an additional command point has been spent to give him the relic the Crusader's Helm, which increases both his aura's ranges by 3 inches, and allows him to give a unit within 6 inches the ability to leverage the benefits of the Assault Doctrine, which will situate the Blade Guard veterans to have a potential 13 attacks on the charge, hitting on 2s with hit rolls of 6 auto-wounding, at Strength 5, AP 4, dealing 2 damage each. To add further resiliency is a Primaris Apothecary, taken as a Chief Apothecary. His Narthesium aura will give nearby units a 6-up Feel No Pain, and as a Chief Apothecary I'm spending another 1 command point to give him the Selfless Healer trait, so when he heals twice it will restore 3 instead of D3, and the ability to use the Combat Revival stratagem to return a Blade Guard base at no cost. And as the final support piece of this first node is the Judiciar. Again, another Indomitus model which fits right at home with the Black Templars. And as you would expect, he's a pretty decent fighter. 5 attacks hitting on 2s at Strength 7, AP 3 dealing 2 damage, dealing 1 mortal wound in addition on wound rolls of 6. Actually, I'm not 100% clear on how this mechanic works if your hit auto wounds. Surely the fair way would be to roll the wound roll to see if it's a 6, but understanding that it can't fail due to Knights of Sigismund. At least until things are clarified. So while the Judiciar is a decent combatant, it's his Tempora Mortis ability which is the moneymaker. The ability to force an enemy unit within 3 inches of him to fight last is extremely valuable in the fight metagame, and to make him really shine, I've decided to spend another additional command point on Hero of the Chapter, to give him the Black Templars Warlord trait Oathkeeper. Now with a 6-inch heroic intervention range, it means he can be positioned behind the Blade Guard or Crusaders, and have a much easier time jumping into combat. Transporting this group of Blade Guard will be an Impulsor fitted with the Bellicatus Missile Array. Like with the Razorback, the Missile Array is there to provide another anti-tank tool as these units are moved up the board. On to the second veteran node, starting with a squad of Assault Terminators, all taken with Thunderhammers and Storm Shields. They will hit hard with their Thunderhammers, netting a total of 16 swings on the charge. To offset the Thunderhammer's unwieldy quality, I would recommend using the Fury of the First stratagem, and if you are facing Chaos Space Marines, Death to the Traitors is exceptional, and it's worth mentioning that it would be valuable on any melee unit, since its ability to reroll all hits can help Black Templars fish to get those 6s to hit, to generate the auto wound provided by Knights of Sigismund. And transporting the Terminators will be a Land Raider Crusader. It has been fitted with a Multi-Multi and Hunter Killer missile. I have gone with the Land Raider Crusader for 2 reasons. Mainly it's that the Land Raider Crusader is awesome. Look at those sweet Hurricane Bolter sponsons. But also, it's that using it as a delivery method rather than teleporting allows the Terminators to use the Shock and Awe stratagem, which provides some pretty valuable utility to deny overwatch and nerf the enemy combat output, as well as another great stratagem to increase charge reliability, the Emperor's Will, to enable them to advance and charge. And with that we are on to the HQs. Leading the army will be the High Marshal himself. His improved datasheet is quite spicy, giving him the combi melta you would expect, and improving his Sword of the High Marshals, so now it deals a consistent damage of 2. As a Chapter Master, he has the reroll all hits buff, great for any combat unit in the Assault Doctrine, and his Crusade of Wrath gives units nearby +1 to their strength, which is a handy buff to have, as it will allow those Terminators to wound toughness 8 targets on 3s. The Warlord trait he must take is an ideal one. Frontline Commander gives core units a +1 to their advance and charge rolls, which will help all the more with getting units into combat. And the second HQ is Chaplain Grimaldus. As a Master of Sanctity, he knows 1 additional litany and can cast 2, which I've selected as the Litany of Divine Protection, which buffs a single unit within 6 inches, granting them a 5-up Feel No Pain, and Oath of Glory, which buffs a core or character within 6 inches, allowing them to fight first in the fight phase, which I think is some A+ flexibility. Say you are going second and know a charge is coming your way, or if you went first and the enemy player finishes their turn, leaving a unit tied up in combat, a scenario which would typically let them swing first. When it comes to Grimaldus' unique abilities, he has an excellent aura ability in Unmatched Zeal, which gives core units within 6 inches the ability to make additional attacks on hit rolls of 6, working excellently with the Doctrine bonus Knights of Sigismund and Helbrick's Chapter Master buff. And as a bonus, Grimaldus can deny 1 power in the enemy psychic phase as if he was a psyker. Bonus mention to his specific warlord trait, Epitome of Piety, which gives him an additional deny attempt and +1 to all of his deny attempts, which might be worth it if you play against a lot of psychers. Tagging along with Grimaldus are the Cenobite Servitors. Coming in at 20 points, they are a pretty cheap way to get a strong boost to your Feel No Pain rolls versus Mortal Wounds. So if you are up against an aggressive smite spammy list, deploy these guys last and situate them to buff the targets that are likely to be threatened. And as an additional point of utility, I suggest hopping these guys along with Grimaldus into the Land Raider Crusader, as the Cenobite Servitors will be great to have eat up any ones should the Land Raider be destroyed and casualties be incurred. As for Helbrick, there is space for him in the Crusader or in one of the Razorbacks, so it's really up to you. And the last unit of the list is a Venerable Dreadnought taken with the Twin Last Cannons, the Dreadnought Combat Weapon, and a Stormbolter, beyond the ranged anti-tank firepower that comes with the Twin Last Cannons. Due to the fact that the list does not feature any lieutenants, the Venerable Dreadnought is an excellent source of reroll wound rolls of 1, thanks to the stratagem, Wisdom of the Ancients. And that's the list, coming in at 1998 points. It provides a total of 9 command points after giving the Blade Guard Ancient an extra relic, and the Judiciar and the Chief Apothecary the extra traits. And what we have is a list that is quite angry, with the vast majority of it geared up to go forth and purge the alien and slay the heretic in righteous melee combat, along with quite a few tricks to leverage and steer the fight metagame in their favor. And as successors, I will leave you with a quote from the High Marshal. "The galaxy is the Emperor's, and anyone or anything who challenges that claim is an enemy who must be destroyed." Well, that's a wrap on this one. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this video enjoyable and informative. If you have any questions, comments, or requests, please feel free to drop them down below. And if you are a Black Templars player, I would be curious to know how you are feeling with the new Space Marines Codex in hand, and how you feel about the Index Astartes Black Templars in general. So, if you enjoyed this video, there's a like button, and if you want to help this channel grow, there's a subscribe button. There's also a bell button and a share button, so press the buttons you want to press. Thanks again for watching, and I'll hope to see you guys in the next one.